Celebrities who died in 2024. Number 1. Eric Carmen. Carmen was a rock ballad king whose songs still get constant play to this day. All by Myself was a hit in the mid-1970s. It became an even bigger hit when Celine Dion did her own rendition in 1996. The Grammy-nominated Almost Paradise from the soundtrack to the hit 1984 movie Footloose became a staple at school dances and weddings. Carmen repeated the feat when his song Hungry Eyes showed up on the soundtrack for the 1987 classic Dirty Dancing. Carmen's death on March 12th.
No dos Joe Flaherty.
As one of the original cast members of the Canadian sketch comedy show SCTV, in the late 1970s, Joe Flaherty, alongside the likes of John Candy, Eugene Levy, Catherine O'Hara, Dave Thomas, Andrea Martin, Martin Short, and Rick Moranis, created a brand of comedy that was edgier and more outlandish than their competition, Saturday Night Live. In later decades, Flaherty made scene-stealing appearances as the Western Union worker who gives Marty McFly the 70-year-old letter from Doc Brown in Back to the Future Part 2, and the heckler Donald in Happy Gilmore. He was also a regular on TV through the decades, with roles in Married with Children, Freaks and Geeks, and The King of Queens. Flaherty died on April 1st. Number 3. Louis Gossett Jr. Born in Brooklyn, New York, Louis Gossett Jr. made his stage debut at 17. After building his craft on stage through the 1960s, Gossett Jr. made the jump to screen and in 1977 was cast in the acclaimed miniseries Roots, opposite the likes of Ben Vereen, LeVar Burton, and John Amos. He went on to win an Emmy for his performance as Fiddler. He was nominated for 7 more Emmys after that, most recently in 2020 for playing William Reeves in the HBO limited series, Watchmen. He made history in 1983 when he won an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor for his portrayal of the strict drill instructor Emil Foley in An Officer and a Gentleman. It would mark the first time a black actor won the prize in that category. Gossett Jr. went on to star in hit movies and TV shows like The Principal, Toy Soldiers, Iron Eagle, and Boardwalk Empire. Gossett Jr. died on March 29th.
Norman Jewison.
The legendary director was best known for his eclectic filmography that included the drama In the Heat of the Night, the musical Fiddler of the Roof, and the beloved comedy Moonstruck, all of which garnered him Best Director nominations at the Oscars. The Canadian filmmaker's specialty was getting top-notch performances out of A-list actors like Steve McQueen, The Thomas Crown Affair, and Denzel Washington, The Hurricane. It often led to Oscar glory for his movies and their stars. 12 actors received nominations over his 40-year career, with 5 of his movies earning Best Picture noms. Jewison died on January 20th. The English actor starred in over 60 films and 30 plays, and is known best for playing Mrs. Banks in the beloved 1964 Disney movie Mary Poppins. Legend has it that Johns originally thought she landed the role of Poppins. To let her down easy, Walt Disney made sure that she got to sing a big musical number in the movie. It led to the famous Sister Suffragette sequence. In 1973, John's breathy voice caught the attention of legendary composer Stephen Sondheim, who cast her in the original Broadway production of A Little Night Music. Sondheim wrote, "Send in the Clowns," the song she performs, with her in mind. Johns would earn a Tony Award for her performance. She was also nominated for an Oscar for her work in The Sundowners, 1960. Johns died on January 4th.
No seis, Toby Keith.
Keith became prominent in the 1990s thanks to his hit single, should have been a cowboy. It would make him one of the decade's top draws in country music. Keith released 19 studio albums, 2 Christmas albums, and dozens of songs that topped the Billboard Hot Country Songs charts in his career. Keith died on February 5th. Number 7. Richard Lewis. In an era in the 1970s where stand-up comedy could be a path to superstardom, Richard Lewis was one of the biggest acts. Often dressed in black and holding his hand up to his temple, his self-deprecating and neurotic style made him a constant visitor to Johnny Carson's The Tonight Show. By the 1980s, he hit it big on TV, starring opposite Jamie Lee Curtis on the series Anything But Love, which ran for 4 seasons.
Cindy Morgan.
A 1980s icon, Morgan found instant stardom in her film debut, playing the stunning Lacey opposite Chevy Chase in the classic 1980 comedy Caddyshack. 2 years later, she found herself in another iconic work, Disney's Tron, as Dr. Laura Baines in The Real World and Yuri, who helps Jeff Bridges after he's sucked into the game world. Morgan once again showed she can shine opposite Hollywood's biggest leading men. Though Morgan worked steadily the rest of her career, including a multi-episode run on the soap opera Falcon Crest, she'll be forever known for her performances in 2 of the biggest movies of the 80s. Morgan's death was first reported on January 6th.
That's good.
The face of CBS Sunday Morning for over 2 decades, Osgood became a fixture in Americans' homes at the end of every weekend thanks to his wit, calming demeanor, and that bow tie. Osgood had been at CBS since the early 1970s, first as a reporter, then the anchor of the CBS Sunday Night News from 1981 to 1987. From 1987 to 1992, he was often on CBS This Morning. In 1994, he became the face of Sunday Morning, replacing Charles Kuralt. He would go on to earn 2 Daytime Emmys and a Peabody for his work on the show. He ended his run 2016, passing the reins to Jane Pauley. Osgood died on January 23rd.
No, Chita Rivera.
Rivera was a Broadway legend who originated some of the stage's most memorable characters, including Anita in West Side Story, Velma Kelly in Chicago, and Rose in Bye Bye Birdie. She would go on to be nominated for 10 Tony Awards and win twice. With Broadway credits spanning 7 decades, Rivera's singing and dancing shaped generations of performers. Rivera died on January 30th. Soul found instant fame in the mid-1970s playing Detective Kenneth Hutchinson, one half of the hip crime solvers in Starsky and Hutch. Before hitting it big on the show, Soul was a folk singer through the 1960s, opening for the likes of Frank Zappa and the Byrds. At one time, he even sang while his face was covered with a mask, calling himself the Covered Man. After Starsky and Hutch, Soul went back to music and scored the #1 single on the Billboard Hot 100 with Don't Give Up on Us. Soul also made appearances on shows like Star Trek, Gunsmoke, the Clint Eastwood movie Magnum Force, and a miniseries adaptation of the Stephen King novel Salem's Lot. Soul died on January 4th. Number 14. Emmett Walsh. You may not know the name, but you definitely know this face. Character actor Emmett Walsh showed up in more than 150 movies over his career, many of which have gone on to become classics: Blade Runner, Blood Simple, Slapshot, Fletch, The Jerk, Back to School, My Best Friend's Wedding, and Knives Out. He also has appeared in many popular TV shows over the decades, including Home Improvement, The X-Files, and Frasier. Walsh died on March 19th. Thanks to his bravado and astounding physique, Weathers found fame when he was cast as heavyweight champion Apollo Creed in 1970 SIX's Rocky. The following years and decades brought more memorable roles, whether he was sizing up biceps with Arnold Schwarzenegger in 1987's Predator, or trying to teach Adam Sandler how to play golf in 1990 SIX's Happy Gilmore. Most recently, he played Greef Karga in the Star Wars series The Mandalorian. Along with appearing in front of the camera, he also showcased his talents behind it, directing multiple episodes.